Hey guys, back to work again, and today we're gonna see two actors that will help us animate and control our camera. Let's go. So we're gonna talk about camera recrane and read rail, how to set up, use it, and bring everything into our sequencer. You know guys, I'm more into animation in Unreal Engine, so I will always try to focus on how to create stuff and bring them into our sequencer. So the first thing we need, of course, is the camera. So I go here into my contents, cinematic, just click and drag my cine camera actor here, and we're gonna focus on the first one, which is the camera recrane. I'm gonna place it here. Now we have a few steps in order to control with our recrane our camera. If I select my recrane here, I go to his details panel. You see that I have the crane controls. This is the main area that we will focus. It's like where we were gonna control the thing. I've got crane pitch, so if I move it around, you quickly understand what it does. Same for yaw, and we can also control the depth of the arm. We have log, mount pitch, and yaw, and I will just show you what it is once we will get our camera in the right spot. We know some controls where it is with our crane, so now I will parent my camera into this crane. In order to make this, I have multiple ways to do it. Simple ways, it's just to select our camera here, go to our outliner, and just click and drag our camera into our recrane. If you have this little arrow, that means our camera is parented to our crane. You can also right-click into your viewports in the camera and just go to Attach and select the crane. These are two ways to do it. And once you've done that, first thing you see that it's keeping the offsets of the camera. When I mean offsets is, you know, we place our camera by hand here, we parent it here with our crane, but still in the old spots we first place our camera. That means if I play with the pitch of our crane, my camera follows my crane, but it has an offset. In order to get rid of this, it's really simple. I have to select my camera and I have to go to location here in the details panel of my camera, and I just click on the arrow here to reset his properties. Now you see it's on the good spots, and I can do the same for rotation. And if I just select my crane and play with it, it follows my crane. And now that everything is set up, I will understand more easily what lock mount is used for. So if I press pitch and I pitch my crane, it's locked, means that it will follow and always be parallel with my crane. Same for yaw. Simple. So now we created our camera, our recrane. We can control it and place it where we want. And now, how to bring this into our sequencer? First thing, of course, is to create a level sequence. So go to content drawer, right click, go to cinematics, level sequence. I will call this ls_crane. You open it, and the first thing to know is if you want to render something with your camera, you always have to import your camera into your sequencer. Even if it's parented with a specific actor, you need both of them. That means here I will select my camera and my crane and go to my sequencer onto plus track, actor to sequencer, and add current selection, means the two actors. Here's automatically it will get and process your camera. You can get rid of and go back to your viewports point of view by clicking here on the little icon, or by ejecting yourself from the camera from there. In our sequencer, you can see that we have our camera and our camera rig crane. Here our camera, we're gonna set up our lens settings, our aperture, focus, etc. All the really core settings of our camera. And if you want to control and animate its position, we're gonna get more tracks with our rig crane. Means that we want, for example, to pitch and yaw our camera. So I select the rig crane here. I can go to plus track and select its properties from there, or I can go in the details panel and click on the icon here. Or if I want to control pitch and yaw, click here. And now from our sequencer, I can control my rig crane. Same for DO. And I can keyframe that. I can add look at tracking on my camera to keep our mech in our scene, etc. etc. And now we can do the same with our rig rail. There is a little bit more properties and settings that we can play with, and you will see it's really powerful. So I will create another camera for this example here, and I will just add into cinematics a camera rig rail. And here you see I've got this little actor here. So if I click on it and I go to my details panel, I can see that its controls are there. The current position on rail will be the length animation. If I play with it, you can see our here position moving around. So we will play with this for the animation and also the time of the animation. You see that we have also the lock orientation to rail that will keep our camera in the same direction of our rail. And you can also deactivate the visualization of our rail assets and the scale of it. You see that under its components here, you have a rail spline because this actor uses splines in order to make a path. In Unreal Engine, in order to add point spline, you just select your point here. And if you want to add a point, you can use a shortcut with Alt and clicking on your axis and drag. You can then rotate. You can change the orientation of your gizmo by clicking here in the transform to get the local transform. And you can also play with the handle in order to smooth in our curve, and you can go further. Okay, so that's great, but if I want, let's say, a straight line or a specific shape, how can I do that? You can do it in a simple way by just selecting your last point here and right click and go to Spline Generation panel. It will open a little window, sometimes popping up away from your screen, so be careful and just watch around. And then here I have some different shapes and I can just select one, for instance circle, arc, square, ellipse, rectangle or line, and I can control it further with the number of points on my spline, like the radius for this circle shape. I can reverse direction, change from left to right, up and after, before, insert after, before, and as you can see we have a lot of settings and we can control it in the way we want. And that is a powerful tool, a great tool. Sometimes you just need like a little arc with a specific degrees, radius, number of points. Best is to keep a point a little bit lower. Don't use a lot of points because if you want to control afterwards, it's going to be a little bit tricky. So once you placed your rail, you made a path. Now we will do the same operation as before with our rig crane, meaning that we need to parent our camera to our rail. So I can close that and same operation. This time I will select my camera here, make right click, go to attach to and search for camera rig rail, click on it, and now as it is, if I select my rail and go to current position on rail, you see that my camera is following my rail. Same thing, it's keeping the original offset of my camera where I place it at first. So I can select my camera, go to this details panel, under location, reset the value. Of course, I can always add an offset. I can animate an offset plus my rig rail. So for instance, you are following your rail and at some point you want the camera to go a little bit away from the rail, you can animate this. You add another transform to your camera in addition of your rail. That's possible. So let's say you want little offsets on the Z axis here. I can do it. And now when you have a rail, sometimes you have tracking actor to make. So for example, here I select my camera. I go to its details panel here, look at tracking settings, and I will first pick an actor and then enable look at tracking. I advise you to do that because when you enable look at tracking, the camera go crazy sometimes, so make sure to first select the actor you want and after enable look at tracking. So I select like my Mac here and then I enable it. My camera now is focus and tracking my Mac, and if I go back to my rail and play with the current position rail, now you see that it's following my rail and keeps the tracking of my Mac. When you do it in the editor, in the viewport, it's not in real time, so you have to click and release it in order to see what you're doing. But now we're gonna import that in our new sequencer. Same thing as the crane, we now create a new sequencer. So I go back to my content drawer, right click, cinematics, enable sequence. We'll call it LS rail. I open it. Always my camera and my actor, which controls my camera. So I select both of them, put plus track, actor sequencer, and add the two actors. Now, remember, automatically my camera will bring a camera component track with basic settings of the aperture, focal length, and focus distance, plus its transform. But camera rig rail, same as the rig crane, we have nothing. We have to go for the specific properties we want to control in our sequencer. You can plus track and add it, or of course, as always, click on the little icon here in the details panel of our rig rail and add, for this example, the current position on rail. And now, if I place a key here, 0, I go to the end of my sequencer, make it to 1. It's binary, 0, start position, 1, end position. So you have to play with it in order to get the exact spot you want and the speed of your rail. I will change it maybe like to a linear. I select my keyframes, right click and change it. And now if I press play, it follows my rig rail and everything is in order. Little extra, you see that I placed my actor tracking by selecting my Mac, but it's at its origin, it's not really well placed, so I can change it. I select my camera here, I go to look at tracking, and if I just draw the debug position, you see now the little square here showing where my camera is looking at. I can add now a relative offset on Z, and you see that I can place it where I want. And now if I press play, I have a better tracking point. Now you know how to use rig rail and rig crane in order to animate your camera and control it into your sequencer. Leave a comment, guys, if you have any question or request. I hope this video helped you in order to master and control your camera animation. And now let's get back to work and create some good stuff, great render and cinematics, and see you soon. Bye, guys.